All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration.
Hello, my friends.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Doing great.
Good. It's been such a long time since I saw you, Kitty. 48 hours.
I
Just
know.
say the other day. Even 48 hours? Yeah.
I came home and laid down and went to sleep for about 3 hours.
Yes. Let's get into it, ladies. Let's have another riveting conversation by three friends who have been there, done that, and still want more.
Mm-hmm.
Your co-host at the Three Cocktails In podcast. I'm hoping we have some new listeners after our week in Vegas. Talked many times about the podcast with my coworkers, and they asked a number of questions. Well, what do you talk about? What's it all about?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just kept saying we talk about you all the time. Just you. No.
Yeah. At one point, we were all in a circle standing in the pool. And I think I said, "Do you guys listen to our podcast?"
She did. That's exactly what she did. We all had a cocktail in hand. So you know how sometimes you go on a trip and math is just a different thing. It's like, math doesn't matter. Well,
you mean like girl math, or this is some
yes, girl math. We're talking vacation math now.
Math. Yes.
So the company that I work for, this was a sales trip that I had won. So paid for our airfare out there, paid for our hotel room out there. Had a very nice dinner one night, and also gave us a $200 room tap. So Kitty and I are like, let's just put everything on the room and then we'll sort it out later. That's easier. So, when you're not actually paying for something and you're just vaguely signing for it, at one point we're like, do we get a pitcher? Do we get a glass? We're asking the waitress, the server, how many glasses are in a pitcher? And she says 6. And we go, we'll have a pitcher. Because mathematically it was just smarter to do that.
Yes.
We did that once. We did not get a pitcher after that again because, when it's 93 degrees, the ice melts. So we'll blame it on that. But yeah, sure. It was a trip. It was really interesting. What did you think, Kitty?
It was
all the coworkers.
Yeah, it was interesting for me being the plus one. So I had met many of these people before because this was my second opportunity being Amy's arm candy for an event.
Yes,
that's right. So I was the plus one at casino night and then here. So some of them remembered me, which is nice. And I mean, I have to say, your bosses they're lovely. They're very nice. They're very welcoming. They always remember. They'll come over and say, "Hey, are you having fun?" So I didn't feel really like an outsider. But it was also just really nice because I felt that I had no obligation. I just needed to make sure that Amy felt like if she needed to go, I got to be at the dinner on time. There's a little gathering over here. I should go. I just felt like as long as she's doing what she needs to be doing, because this is her work trip, I'm along for the ride. So it was very relaxing. It was very nice. Taking in all the sights and sounds and everything. It was good. It was relaxing. It was a good mix of we did a lot, we were up late, and it was also relaxing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We did state on more than one occasion that it would have been better if Stacey would have been there. And that there's something very enjoyable about floating in your pool.
Yes.
That is,
Yeah, I know. Just bad timing. I had a new employee start a week ago Thursday, and I had my intern start on Wednesday. So it would have been a little awkward if they'd have shown up and I just said, "Well, I'm on vacation." He just
Yeah.
figured it out.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to Vegas. Good luck.
yeah, good luck. Sink or
Yeah.
swim. Yeah, wouldn't have worked very well.
Mm-hmm. So Kitty and I did something brand new to both of us. It was a little eye-opening. It was a little aromatic,
Mhm.
psych.
Mhm.
We went to the theater, saw Dead and Company. It was bananas. I
At the
thought it was
theater.
bananas.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to expect really, but it far exceeded anything that I could have imagined.
Same.
Yeah. Well, you said on your one of your posts that it wouldn't have mattered who you saw. It was that cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. So cool. And Kitty and I were like, people were like, "Oh, what's your favorite song?" We're like, "I don't know. I don't know any Grateful Dead songs."
Yeah. And I didn't even really feel like once they were playing, I never had a moment where I was like, oh yeah, okay, I know. Nope. I mean, I was getting the vibe. Okay, so I understood the feel of their music, but it just wasn't, that just was not familiar music to me at all. And we walked away from it just basically saying, if you have any opportunity to go to the Sphere, you have to go. It doesn't matter who it is, because it is the future of the way musical events are going to be. And it was all immersive. It was absolutely incredible.
It really was. It was so cool. And Grateful Dead was the happiest crowd I've been around. I mean, everybody, did we ever figure out how many people that the Sphere seats? Did we ever
No,
Google that? How did we
no,
not Google that?
I don't
We
know.
Googled a lot of other stats, but not that one.
I'll
Um,
Google it.
okay, you get on the
So
Googles.
was
Get
it
on
an
the
older
line.
crowd? Would you have said an older crowd?
It
Maybe
was all over.
Yeah, I got to stand next to, I kindly referred to him as Buckethead. It was a young guy in a bucket hat with, the barely 70s mustache going, and he had on little John Lennon glasses, and he was rocking the whole time. He was there by himself. I think I overheard him talk to the people behind us that he was maybe going to the second show the next night. A lot of people our age, younger, older people. I saw a man in a full-on suit as we were leaving. I
Mhm.
thought to myself, wouldn't have pictured coming
Yeah.
right from the boardroom to the Dead and Company, especially because he was walking from where we were. So it wasn't like there were no suites in this thing.
Right.
But
Okay, so I've got
It's a venue, not a hotel. Yeah.
well, I mean,
right.
it's not like an arena.
Yeah.
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 So 18,600 seats and standing capacity of 20,000.
I wonder how many were there.
It had to have been full.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. Two things that I'd never noticed was, first of all, they started at 7:40 instead of 7:30, which is a miracle in concert world, in my experience.
Yep.
They took a half an hour intermission, and their last song wrapped up at 11:20. That's almost 4 hours. They played a solid 3.5 hours, and not one person in the band spoke.
That's right.
There was no chit chat. There was no, and on the drums and on the bass. None of that. It was just all about them playing. And because that big, huge, all the music, you didn't have to see the band. So we were up in the fourth section. We were probably 15 rows from the top. And I have to say, we were in perfect seats. And in that venue, I would not say go to the floor. I would say always look for seats in 300 to 400 because then
Mhm.
your eye level, if you're lower, you're going to be spending a
I
lot of
was
time
gonna
looking
say,
up.
would you
Yeah.
have to look up the whole time
Yeah.
if you were lower?
To
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
that whole effect, you would have to be going like this the whole time. Instead, we were like this, just being able to do this. So those upper seats are
Yep.
primo.
Really cool.
One other thing that I noticed about, so the originals of the Grateful Dead minus
Jerry Garcia.
minus Jerry Garcia, and then the addition of John Mayer. And I loved watching the interaction between John and, I don't
Bob.
know all their names. Bob,
Weir.
Bill. I don't know. Yeah. Other than Bob, I don't know the other names. And I should. I feel bad about that now. But I just felt like just watching John's body language, and you actually pointed it out, Amy, that Bob was calling the cues when the song was going to wrap up. Maybe when the song was going to start, everybody was taking the cue from him. So John Mayer, big superstar for sure, but the Grateful Dead, they are legend.
Yeah.
And John was really respectful. I'm talking about him like I know him. He was very respectful of that, and I loved how they ended the show. So at the end, they all came out. They all stood. I've got a couple great photos. They all stood in line, and they took a bow. I love that. That is true performance in my opinion. They took a bow. They all held hands. They took a bow, and then they all clapped as well. And I just felt like it's different than being, the big superstars, and you're like, you've just played your last song and boom, you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I know. So,
exceptional.
Kitty, I think as long as you're, in public and you've got a microphone in front of you, I think there's something you might want to state for the record. Say it loud, say it proud.
I'm now a John Mayer fan.
Yes. Yes. 2-1. 2-1.
Okay, but
No.
Here's why. Here's why. I know, Stacey. I know. The whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, what is Stacey going to say? But I have really not cared for him much because I've always seen him as being just a big, massive ego. And when I saw him in this show taking the back seat, I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Mega talented.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and this was none of his songs, right? So I mean, I could have
Yeah.
dealt with it. I would never go to an actual John Mayer concert with the John Mayer songs. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's our next step. I'm going to get you two to a John Mayer concert with John Mayer songs.
Mhm.
Because like most artists, where they started and where they're at now, you either stay the same, and you're Britney Spears singing the same 3 songs you sang, 20 years ago, or you adapt. And the only way you stay big and relevant is if you adapt. So you quit listening to him years ago.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was kind of fun. So
one other thing before we move on from this, the things that I kept thinking as you're seeing Bob and the others, and they are all over 70.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know how old they are. They're all over 70. I just kept thinking how amazing, what an amazing experience this is. I hope for them that here they are in this first of its kind venue. And every once in a while I would see one of them, kind of look up and kind of take in what was happening on the screens as well. But I hope that they are just loving every second of this residency that they have, because can't imagine what that would be like like to have had the careers that they have and now to be able to do this.
Yeah. Well, my question was, and I remember asking you was because I feel this way sometimes, and we've talked about stuff like this, the working with the younger generation. Here's a prime example of men that clearly without the younger generation would not really be touring or have this residency. So I asked Kitty, I'm like, do you think that Bob Weir, that the main guy, do you think he has moments of like where he feels sad that this isn't his thing? You know what I mean? That John Mayer got a lot of playing time. Now, John, like we said, John never stepped, he was never the lead. But a lot of the TV time was on Mayer's guitar.
Mhm.
You know, or does he feel like you talked about where they should feel super, super proud of being, we were there opening night. They had an amazing crowd opening night. They're the second. Well, actually, Fish, I think, played for one weekend. But U2 was there, then Fish, and now Dead and Company. It's just really interesting to me as you see the elder and the next generation
Mhm.
and how they have to navigate the respect
Mhm.
and also have grace to know that
Yeah. It's
you
not
know
all about them, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
or that I don't play like I used to, so have at it, young buck, sort of
Mhm.
thing. So I thought that was really interesting to watch. And
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that when I was younger, but now being kind of on that older end, especially because on this trip with my coworkers, I was the oldest there. Literally, I was the oldest person there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I'm fun. I'm sure Bob is too. So yeah, so our Vegas trip, as Vegas always is really excellent people watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We did pass. We had intentions, but we did pass on going down to Fremont Street. We did not do that.
Yeah,
And we talked about how that is like Freak Street, USA.
it is.
And I remember the couple times we've gone down there with you, Stacey, is
Yep.
yeah, adults being out there fine, but I've always kind of scratched my head about the parents who bring the kids.
Kids. Yeah.
Babies that don't know any better, okay, I don't know why they're up, but whatever.
Yeah.
But kids that can kind of look around and go,
Yeah.
"Mommy, why doesn't that woman have any,
Yeah.
dress on or something?"
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
It's
Not a place for kids.
I don't think so, but there were so many things that
Yeah.
had kids at them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember when Vegas tried to become a family destination? How
They're
many?
still advertising things to do with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I,
And
I think
there are things. Yeah.
yeah,
There are things,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be Fremont Street in the evening.
No, it
No.
should not.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the things you see, and there are times that I go home from Vegas feeling kind of sad for humanity.
Yes. Yes.
And just just people who make really bad decisions when they're there, or when they're just out of town in general. So I'm just glad that we don't do shit like that. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. We don't. We're not out there losing thousands of dollars at the tables. We're not.
Kitty lost $20.
Oh,
I
Lost-
no.
lost 10.
Oh, boy.
I know.
I lost 20 over 2 days.
Oh. There you go. Your budget was 10 per day. Good.
Well, I put 20 into a machine, played for a little while, lost 10, so I cashed out, and then I held on to my grubby little ticket until the next
Yeah.
night And then like, I still have $10 to lose. Let's go drop this. Let's go do this.
Yep.
Yes, and then,
Sure.
do we play the penny machines or do we pay the quarter machines? And we're such novices. We looked at a few of them and we're like, this is too complex. I don't know whether I bet 3 or 9 or how many lines.
How many
So then we
lines?
just be like, push the button.
Yep.
Push
See
the
what
button.
happens. Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Walking around the casino, when you start to talk about feeling bad for people, and having conversations, Kitty and I saw a woman who was walking around fully clothed. Let me just say fully clothed. She looked a little tipsy.
Okay,
And
that's being kind, Amy.
Okay, I'm trying to be kind. Okay,
A lot tipsy.
a lot tipsy.
She
Okay.
was out of her mind. She was out of her
Okay.
mind. And she was just kind of
now
stumbling
she-
along.
I
hear
would
that?
say weaving more than stumbling.
Okay.
She was not young.
Was-
She was
Was she
not young.
alone?
Listen to me. Well, we were kind of thinking she was.
Yeah, she was definitely alone. I mean, at the time that we saw her, she was
Yes.
alone. She was walking around alone. Yeah.
Yes.
And
So then we had the debate. Do we need to step in? Do we need to do something?
Does she need help?
Does she need help?
yeah. That's
When
hard.
do you say something?
Yeah. When is it your business and when isn't it? Is that the question?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. I feel like we should have at least alerted someone to her.
Oh.
I mean, I'm guessing that those casinos have 3 cameras for every person, right? So
Yeah.
everybody at all times is being monitored.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
if somebody came up to her and tried to, take her, I would hope that something like that would be seen on camera. But all we would have had to do is walk over to whoever, one of the pit bosses or, somebody around and say, you know what, that woman over there, she's not okay. I'm quite certain that they have processes in place for things like this. I kind of feel like we should have said something.
Yeah, that didn't occur to me to go to a worker there. I will say that it didn't.
Yeah.
I will also say, and this is probably wrong now that I think about it, but had she been a young 20-something,
Oh. Yeah.
I would have for sure. But there was something about her age to me that felt like she's not here by her. In my head, I'm thinking she's not here by herself. She probably her friends are probably into a machine, and because she wasn't walking very far, it wasn't like she. At least what we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, but so
this question pops up for me every once in a while, and I will still never forget. I want to say it was one year when we were on vacation. We were going out to the Black Hills or something. It was Bill and Bo and I, and we were at a rest stop somewhere in the middle of South Dakota. And so we went in to use the restroom, and as I was going in, there was a girl, and she was maybe 12 or 13. I'm guessing maybe 14, and she did not look good. She looked like she had not slept, or maybe she'd just woken up. I don't know. And we passed each other on the sidewalk, and we made eye contact. And 20 years later, I'm still thinking about it. And I feel like I should have said, "Are you okay?"
Mhm.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's a question that pops into my head every once in a while. How do we know when it is the right time to say something? Or if it's not to say something to that person, to say something to somebody that could potentially help.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen these videos popping up on social media. There's some hand signal that you can do, and I was going to look it up before we jumped on, but it's some universal signal for I need help. And it's not the sign language, whatever the sign language thing is, but it's like something like this.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody should know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm out in public and I'm so unaware of anything around me. You know what I mean? And I think that's the first thing is you're supposed to be more aware of your surroundings. I think some of that kind of stuff I don't even notice. I feel like I don't notice anybody else what they're doing.
I can guarantee you 20 years ago at a rest stop, I was trying to corral my 3 kids
Yeah.
and would not have had any. It wasn't in, I mean, when you think back 20 years, internet had just started to be a thing for you young folks out there. We weren't aware of so much
Yeah.
of what we know about now.
Yeah. So this has become kind of a heavy topic that I think we maybe weren't expecting it to be. What about those situations where, okay, so Bill and I went and had our taxes done, whatever, right, 2 weeks before April 15th. And so we've gone up to this company up north a little ways from here for many years. We've gone to see the same guy. He's super good. And we've always seen him. Well, he retired 2 years ago. So last year they put us with somebody else who was not very experienced. This year they also put us with someone else who was not very experienced. We're not going back there again, by the way. But in both of these meetings, doing our taxes, the woman that we're working with had a question. And so she would go out and she said, hang on, let me ask so-and-so. I'm not going to say his name. Let me go ask so-and-so. So-and-so came in. He did it 2 years ago and he did it this last year. And he is a jackass. Like the worst of the worst.
To her or
her.
you to her?
To her and kind of to us. So for example, this time around, Bill had a question. Something wasn't computing right, and it had to do with how much money he had put into his HSA. So she asks him the question. He's like, okay, well, blah, 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 blah. This is his tone. He's just mad and mean and gruff. And so he's talking to her, but he's kind of talking to Bill. You put too much into your HSA. So he's got this, whatever. He had a piece of paper in his hand or whatever. So Get that out of there. We're going to make the adjustment here. You got to get that out of there. Make sure you get that out of here. You put too much into your HSA. He threw the page down and walked out. And then there's just silence. It's this woman that we're working with and Bill and I, and we look at each other. We're stunned.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something so bad. To her, I wanted to say, you know what, ma'am, you should not have to be on the receiving end of that. What he just did, that is wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
I think she knows.
Oh yeah, she knows. And that would, come all the way back around to how does she fix it? You know what I mean? You don't have a lot of choices. If that's her boss.
He's one of the owners.
Oh, yeah. Well, owner even worse. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
has two choices: take it or quit. That's all she's got.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's right. But
That's
I
rough.
also feel like sometimes it's just nice for someone to hear
Yeah.
that's not
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
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 Hmm.
hmm I think that we have to be better about being honest in our feedback.
Hmm.
So I had to take my car in while I was gone. I knew I had some sort of brake issue. Um, hanging out with some salespeople, they're like, "Why don't you just get a new car? You had a great year. Just buy a new car. Your car is old or whatever." And I got to toying with the idea because my car is old. It's a 2008, runs really well. Now it does. So I got the estimate on what it was going to cost. I'm like, God, then I got an appraisal while it was still there because I was debating, do I get it fixed? Do I just buy a new car? And I don't think that these two men talk to each other, the service guy and the sales guy. I'm going to go with that as the reason why this happened, because the serviceman's bill to me was $3,200. The salesman said if I get everything fixed, they'll give me $3,000. I said, I don't no.
Yeah.
Okay, just fix it. I'm not trading it in. And I wanted to say something, um, but when I went and got it traded in, or not traded in, when I picked my car up and I'm looking at the receipts, and he goes, "No, you were talking to X about buying a new car. That just didn't work out." And I said, "Well, to be real honest, I was disappointed." And he goes, "With the service?" I'm like, "No, service was fine." I said, "But to tell me I need to spend $3,200 to fix it and then you'll give me $3,000? I didn't feel like paying you, the dealer, $250 to take my car."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad I said something, because now if those two are going to have a conversation, the conversation can go like, "Man, we should have really talked about this."
Yeah.
Because that especially, and here's the other thing that really ticked me off. They charged me a 3% credit card fee.
Mm.
I'm at a freaking Lexus dealership. A Lexus dealership where you're not buying the cheapest car you can find. Lexus is supposedly a luxury brand. I don't
Yeah.
believe you should be nickeled and dimed with a 3% credit card charge.
Right.
To me,
Because you're not going to take $3,000. Yeah, you're not going to take $3,000 of cash in. You maybe would have
they
saved
wanted
your.
either cash, a
Yeah.
check, or a debit card.
Yeah.
First of all, nobody accepts cash now. Every place we went to, except for the machines, wanted to use, everything's a cashless venue. Nobody uses checks, as I can attest to, because you have to put your earnest money down with a check when you buy a townhome. And people are like, "What's a check?"
Yeah.
So I just, the combination of those two things, I've started to give honest feedback when asked for it. I filter it, so I'm not, and I don't always respond immediately when I'm in the heat of the moment. But that's a perfect example. Your accounting example is the feedback should go to the owner of the company.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Per our interaction on this date, when we asked a simple question, we will not be working with you anymore. You demeaned your employee, and you made us feel as if we were inept and unqualified.
Right.
Yeah.
We will be taking our business elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's a good policy. As I was doing a little research on this, one of the key things was, if you're silent, it's almost like that's your approval. You're
Yes.
approving,
Yeah.
instead of, to avoid conflict or drama, you're kind of sending that signal that if you don't say anything, well, then you're basically okay with it. And that could be anything, just like that, the service, you know.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. How do you react to parents with children that they're not paying attention to, that are running around wild, that are disrupting life for other people? Do you say something to the kids? Do you say something to the parents?
That's a tough one.
Uh-huh. Want to talk about see something, say something? I'm not talking about, nitpicking stuff. Uh, you know, it, but I distinctly remember being at the park with my kids, and there's some teenagers standing around swearing up one side down the other. There's no parent around. They're just, I am the person that says something. Hey, you guys, there are little kids here. Either clean up your language or take it elsewhere.
Yeah. In that instance, yes. Smaller kids with parents around, that'd be tough. Just because, you shouldn't parent their kids. You want to, but you probably shouldn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, if it's in that situation, I would do the same thing. I would say something directly to the kids.
Yeah.
It starts to make me nervous saying something to parents because the parents are probably jerks.
If the kids are jerks, parents are jerks.
Maybe.
Sure.
I mean, I feel a little bit bad saying that, but they could be, and then now all of a sudden you're gonna make it worse. If we're in a restaurant and there are kids that are running around, I will hope that the management of the restaurant takes care of that. And so I would be inclined to say something to the waiter to then get the message to management and have them take care of it. That's because they're going to be the authority versus it coming from, somebody sitting next to you. And then now you've got a super uncomfortable situation that you have to wait through getting through dinner. So
I've gone going out for dinner a number of times, and there have been kids in some place where, first of all, I don't think they should be.
Yeah.
If you're out at 8:30 on a Friday night and you're in a nice restaurant, Kitty, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Don't have your peanut butter and jelly and chicken fingers at home.
Yeah.
I've said to the host, I don't want to be seated by any kids. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, I have 3 kids. I paid a babysitter. I left them at home. I didn't want to bring my kids. I don't want to sit with somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't end up saying anything to the parents, and the kids might be totally fine, but that's my way of getting around it.
Yeah.
And my kids weren't always angels, but I also, you do the death whisper. If you don't behave right now, we are going to, they all call it the same thing that they did while they were Girl Scout leaders. Get down on their level, whisper with a smile. You are going to listen to me or we're going to have a problem. Yeah. So
I was at Chipotle with some coworkers a couple months ago, and there were 2 young women in there, and they had a couple of kids, and one was a screaming toddler, and it was like shrieking, screaming, and it was just trying to get attention. And the manager went over to her and said, I need you to, I don't know what he said to her, but she was not taking it.
Oh, really?
She
stayed with her screaming toddler.
She said, we listened to the whole thing. Well, we couldn't help it. We could hear her as much as we could hear the kid. This is a public place. I can be here if I want to.
No, and it's not a public place.
Right. And so, but the manager was kind of a young guy as well, and he didn't know how to react to it. So it ended up escalating, and they stayed as long as they wanted to stay. They were going to stay longer, probably, than they wanted to stay, because she said, now you have offended me. This is a public place. I can be here if I want to.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Adults behaving badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I
That's
I haven't
interesting.
seen I haven't seen any domestic situations in a really
Mhm.
long time where somebody's treating somebody else poorly. I haven't seen parents treating kids poorly.
Mhm.
Those are the hard ones. That's really hard when you feel so bad
Yeah.
for the child. And that's another curious one. What do you do about that?
Yeah. I think for me, I would say that again, look at the situation and figure out, is there an authority figure that could take over the situation.
Right.
So let's, uh, so if you're at Target, okay, so I don't know what you would do in a retail situation. Because I mean, it's not like Target manager is going to come over and.
No, there's no security.
That's right. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, years and years and years ago, I remember being at Target and a woman was pushing her Target cart and she had probably like a 2-year-old, not quite 3, maybe somewhere around that range. And they were standing up and in the cart part. And the woman
Mhm.
was shopping, and this little kid is all over the place and was looking and reaching. And I remember saying something like, "You got this one's almost out of the cart here."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like gonna fall out. Yeah.
Yep. And then I just kept walking. I'm like, there's no need. There doesn't have to be a discussion about this. I have
Mhm.
merely pointed out your child's going to take a digger and either take the rack down with them, or they're going to injure themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And again, I would hope that had my children been wildly out of hand, someone would have done the same for me. I've offered to hold babies in
Yeah.
airplanes so mamas can go to the bathroom. I have always tried to play games with an unhappy child. Those things that you can't help.
Yeah.
Parents don't have control over that. I'm not gonna, what can you do? I want
Yeah.
to cry on an airplane sometimes. Certainly not gonna
Right.
hold it against a small kid.
Yeah.
But it is those other situations when it gets sticky. Who do you
Mhm.
yeah, the idea of going to the authority figure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. With
So,
all the things you hear about, child trafficking and kidnapping and that kind of stuff, it would be really difficult to try to get in the middle of that. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's such an unsafe, thing anyway. Like if you really suspected something like that, how do you get in the middle of it? And like like a Target parking lot, there's literally nobody around that's gonna fix it very quickly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I think if I was in a public parking lot somewhere and I saw something that looked like it was fishy, I'd call the police.
oh yeah. Well
And
yeah, sure.
I
But
mean,
by
I
then
think,
they're
I think
gone.
that's
Yeah.
right,
Oh
but I think that's probably all you could do in that situation.
oh yeah.
yeah,
And
note
then
the license plate,
display.
the type of
Yeah.
car,
Yeah.
Yep.
the details.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is totally an aside. Just I got to thinking about trying to take a picture. Kitty, were we at Italy and we were trying to watch somebody a couple tables over, and I said you should take my picture so that she could
Yes.
move her camera right over my shoulder and zoom in on what was going on a few tables
Yeah,
away.
that's right. I did. I still have the photo on my camera. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Have you
well,
seen the stuff on social media where something is really going on and there's all these people recording it and nobody really doing
does
anything?
anything about it?
That bothers me too. Just because they're trying to get the recording and nobody's
Stepping in.
stepping into, yeah.
Well, I live downtown. I live in a very tall building. It's a bit of an echo chamber, as I don't know if you guys heard the motorcycles driving by. There are nights that I hear screaming and I jump out of my bed and I'm turning lights on and I'm opening up the windows to try and find where it's coming from and trying to listen. Is this a scream of distress? Is this a scream of, just being a butthead? What is going on? So I distinctly remember, some horrible crimes that happened that you've heard about over the years, where people always think somebody else is going to do something about it.
Yeah.
I don't have to, because somebody for sure will.
Yeah.
But if everybody thinks everybody else will, nobody does.
Nobody does it. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so I think that the see something, say something is probably not just for airports,
That's right.
train stations.
Yep, that's right. We need to take care of each other,
Yeah.
just in general. So,
All right, pals. Let's stay alert. Let's keep our
Yes.
eyes open.
Stacey, you should always have your head on a swizzle.
Swivel.
Swivel. You mean
Not
not
a
just
swivel
paying
stick.
attention, not just paying attention to the surroundings and the stuff, not the
I
people.
mean, I feel like my head is on a swivel all the time. I always know what's happening all the way around me, all the time. So,
There
you
you go.
should too.
I should.
Yes.
We'll see. I'm
Okay.
usually looking down so I don't trip over a crack, or I'm, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, peoples.
Okay.
What's everybody got going on for the next week? For the coming week? Do we have any shots to offer?
Oh, shots. Hey, I found a new. Have you seen Poppy
Yes. Do you like it?
advertised?
Yep.
Yeah, this one I like, raspberry rose. There was like a cherry lemonade one that was okay. And those are the only kinds I've tried because I've read the,
Reviews
the other, no, not the reviews, but the flavors didn't seem
didn't work
very
for you.
good. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's got, I think this one, what's it say, has 25 calories. So I'm not as excited about it as, because we like to drink Fresca and I like Diet Squirt, so that doesn't have calories. So I'm probably not gonna stick to it. But anyway, but I like the flavor of this one. But I don't know. I thought, from the advertising it was really something, but it's just whatever.
It's just okay.
Yeah, it's just okay. If anybody's wondering. So
I would like to suggest everybody do yourself a favor and do a little Google search on the Dead and Company at the Sphere and see if you can find, I'm sure everybody was recording. See if you can watch a little YouTube video. See if you can find something on Instagram or Reel or TikTok or something, because the visuals are it's just so cool. So cool. And it's not trippy psychedelic. Unless you were really lit up like some people who were
Buckethead.
Oh, down the row from you.
Yes. So that's my suggestion for the coming week.
And if you go to Vegas, go find a show, because it's awesome.
Absolutely. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. How about you, Kit? You got anything for us?
I don't think I do. I'm just trying to get my head into the game of going to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, get your head in the game all the time. There we go. All right, people. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that some of the stuff we talked about this week resonates. If you've got any answers for us, any experiences,
Yes.
got any ideas on who we should follow, or good books that you've read on these subjects, please do pass them on. We're here to learn as much as we are to share. And love hearing what all you guys have to say. You're lovely people.
Yes,
So,
we do.
All right. That's
Okay.
a wrap, my friends.
That is a wrap.
We're going to
We'll see you.
cheers.
See you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. Knock, knock. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10. Turning up the crowd when I hit 'em.